Namaste, Ram Ram. Another beautiful Saturday. Nice warm temperature here. Today we will be learning something about intuition. We all have the light of the sixth chakra coming to us. But our senses sometimes get so overloaded by hearing loud things, by touching undesirable things, by seeing undesirable things, by eating, I shouldn't say undesirable, but things that are not good for us, relationships that we have that are toxic, and then lack of exercise and lack of proper care of the body with nutrition and with proper sleeping habits. So all these are deterrents for our intuition to be reliably functional. So I have found that people who really do regular purifications, their intuition is far better than those people who do not. I mean, I have 60 years of experience in what I am saying. Because you can't just keep driving a car day in and day out and not send it for tuning or service. Human body is also like a machine, and it needs to detox periodically, just to lessen the burden on the liver, on the kidneys, on the bladder, digestive tract, lungs, even ears. The sense that we have not completely developed as yet. And same is with the intuition. It's not quite developed, but whatever level of development it has, we can utilize it, like we do with the ears. We hear things, but we cannot choose not to hear. When there is a noise, there is a sound, you can't shut your ears like you can your eyes. If you don't want to see something, you shut your eyes. You have a choice. But in the case of ears, they are still evolving. Maybe a time will come when we can control what we hear and we can control what we don't want to hear. To delete what we hear is possible, but not to hear something is not yet possible. And intuition, since it deals with the sixth chakra mind, it has longer ways to go than the sense of hearing. Still, whatever is available, we can use that. In micro chakra system, we say when you have a pentagon of the sixth micro chakras, which means that your sixth micro chakra of the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, not only that they are open, but they are joining, making a pentagon. You can rely on your intuition, because in that case, you are able to hear your inner voice. Your inner guru is awake. The inner guru is in the sixth micro chakra of the fifth. Intuition is sixth micro chakra of the sixth. Then it depends on what is the intuition about. Is it about the earth element happenings? Or is it about the water elements, relationships? Or is it about a vision you have? Or is it about a feeling you have for your own divinity? And intuitively you know what system will help you? Fifth microchakra of the sixth, consciously you are observing silence as much as possible. Because ears are one of the most stressed senses we have. When you walk down the street and people are going in their cars with 12 speakers blasting away sounds that you don't want to hear, can't help it. Sirens, other noises that are undesirable, and we cannot filter them. So then we get stressed. So it is better to work with the mantras and sounds that will help to open the sixth microchakras so that you can make a pentagon of the sixth microchakras. Then your intuition is more reliable. In the absence of that, people don't use the word intuition. You can ask yourself, in the last month, how many chances did you have in which you made a sentence in your language which included the word intuition? My intuition is none. Because that word is not commonly used in the language. It exists, but for practical reasons we don't use it. But we can use it. If it was useful, we would be using it. And why is it not useful is because we don't have the pentagon of the sixth microchakras. So my message today is to work on the sixth microchakras of all the lower 5 chakras. Whether it's earth related, water, fire, air, or akasha, space. Space is everywhere. Inside out, there is space. And mantras are the only ones that can help produce the finest quality of result from the sounds. And that's called Surya Akasha, golden ether that cuts through everything. It instills the healing energy in an amulet. It gives the healer the power to use his fingers or her fingers to put on somebody's body, head, to have a healing vibration enter them. It all happens in silence. So if you can find some time each day to explore higher minds in silence. Because after the heart chakra mind, it's only through silence that you can deal with the 5th and 6th chakra minds. Because any noise, it just shuts these minds off. So if any of you have any question, I will address that.
Stephen, what is the difference between the inner guru and intuition? Is one dependent on the other?
Well, they are interdependent. Sometimes the intuitive mind is not open, but the inner guru is awake, which means that you hear your own inner voice that's guiding you. That is not intuition. That's your inner voice. It's your inner guru that's guiding you. Intuition is something beyond the element of space. Inner guru is in the space, 6th micro chakra in the 5th chakra. That is the place of the inner guide, inner guru, inner voice. And when you hear the inner voice, you have a gut feeling. It is supported by your gut. And then you know it's got to be right. So there is a difference between intuition happens when you get close to reality, the reality of the self, not when you are living in an objective reality. And when you study the science of the 6th chakra and 7th chakra, you realize the difference between the lower self and the higher self. That's what Socrates was reminding people. Know thyself. Know thyself. That's all he was just pounding and pounding upon people.
Intuition of reality above the 7th chakra mind.
That's the 6th of the 7th.
Richard Matusov, is Gayatri mantra beneficial for all 7th microchakras?
6th.
Oh, I'm sorry, he asked 6 microchakras.
Yes.
I'm thinking about 7th. I'm there.
Marina is very ambitious. She's thinking of 7th. Yes. Gayatri mantra helps in all 6 chakra minds. Yes. The only thing is that Gayatri mantra is very time bound. One has to know how to pronounce the pranava properly. Pranava is the Om. In the morning, Om is pronounced differently than later in the morning or afternoon or evening. This is why there are 3 different Gayatris. Sattvic Gayatri, Rajasic Gayatri, and Tamasic Gayatri. So if there are 3 different Gayatris, they can only be invoked by pronouncing the mantra in 3 different ways. So some teacher who knows about the mystery of Gayatri, if you have learned it from them, then Gayatri can be very effective. Then Gayatri has a chanda, a rhythm, and that rhythm has to be maintained. Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated. So all the higher chakra mantras they require a very special training. And people are doing them prematurely, but maybe they're getting some effects from it. But there are better ways to do things which will really be more effective.
Is intuition to be used for consciousness of reality? For consciousness of reality, is this what it is used for?
Intuition is used for, ultimate use of the intuition is what is really real, not what appears to be real. Which really means that consciousness is the only reality there is. Everything else is a mirror, mirage. Things appear and then they disappear. So real is that is forever. Consciousness is forever because it was never born. And that which is never born can never die. Shakti's manifestations, they are limited. Energy has a beginning and an end. Consciousness has no beginning and no end. And who we truly are is really consciousness. Everything else is a mirror effect.
Liliana, why sometimes we have no desire to chant mantras, but only to chant them inside?
Yes, that's a very good question. When you have done mantras enough and you have been able to experience their invoked result, at that point, you don't have to pronounce the mantras. Just use your causal body. Just think of the mantras, which means just to repeat them mentally. In fact, you will get more effect. But only those mantras can be practiced mentally. It's called mansik japa. Japa means to repeat a mantra. Mansik means mental. There are different ways to do mantras. They all start out with pronouncing the mantra properly, then developing a proper feeling, proper sentiment for it. Then you start to produce the Surya Akasha from it. Surya Akasha has a memory that instills in your brain. At that time, you have no desire to pronounce it. You just want to think of the mantra. And you're doing your everyday chores, whatever you have to do, but the mantra is going on in the back. Eventually, that will turn into your nada, your own fundamental note. You will notice that. You're a good candidate for it. Yes.
She's on purification.
You're on the purification as well. And this is
doubles
not
it.
your first purification either. How many purifications have you had so far?
We can ask you in the class.
No, I will ask you in the class.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know this is not the first one.
It will double the effect.
It will.
Yeah.
Double, triple, who knows? Yeah.
And Annalinde, has intuition nothing to do with when you intuit something is happening in your surroundings or related to a relationship?
Yes, intuition can take place at any level. As I said, at the level of earth, level of water. If it is a happening in the physical, for example, a friend comes and just visit you suddenly. And in the morning you had a feeling, you were thinking of this person. And all of a sudden they're at your doorstep. That's intuition. Sometimes it happens that you think of somebody to call, and all of a sudden the phone rings and there is that person you wanted to call. It's called simultaneity. Because consciousness is simultaneous. It's everywhere all the time. We can be asleep, consciousness is still there. Universe can go into the black hole. Nothing is left. Everything is gone in the black hole. Consciousness is still intact. Because consciousness is not born. And who we truly are is that consciousness. Thou art that. Say the Veda or Vedanta, the end of Veda. Thou art that. Tat tvam asit. That you really are. Everything else is a mirage. Now it's there, now it's not. Now it's there, now it is not. It's a play of Shakti. It's a Leela. So, play the Leela. And when you play the Leela, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And when you lose, you congratulate the winner. This was your day. Yes, maybe next time it'll be my day. But I'm happy for you because you played well. That's sportsmanship. But that's just in one sport. You can be a sportsman or sportswoman in life. You embrace your mistakes and you learn from them. Every mistake is a teacher. Then, as far as intuition is concerned, your second chakra, relationships, yes, by intuition, you know, and women have a better intuition than men. That's why in India, there used to be a custom called Swayambhara. Swayambhara means where a woman who is ready to get married, and all the people who are in the neighborhood that are qualified, so to speak, husbands, they all gather in a circle. And she has a garland in her hand. And the man that she wants to marry, she will put the garland around his neck. Because she can intuit whose baby is what she needs. Humans have that capacity. And in classical India, that is the way it was. If you read the Ramayana, how Sita and Ram were married. Yes.
You probably already answered this question of why the consciousness needs to be experienced.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be experienced. You are experiencing it as it is.
Okay.
It's not a question of choice. The only time you are not aware of that consciousness is when you are deeply asleep. Because that's when you really are consciousness yourself, because you have merged into that ocean of consciousness.
Mohan Rao, can the microchakras be opened by Deeksha from a guru like yourself?
No. Guru can point the way. Guru can give you the proper tools that you apply to open. And because of the faith, you know, in India, we have a great tradition of faith. So with faith, miracles happen, but they are temporary. They are not lasting. So for a moment you can feel because the guru has touched your head, and some gurus, they have a peacock feathers they use, or some other tool they use, but it's called Shakti Path. It's mostly psychological. But it does prepare some students to do proper sadhana because they have that experience momentarily because of the Guru Kripa, the grace of the Guru, that inspires them to do sadhana. But most of it, from my perspective, is based on faith. It's more psychological.
But manipulating microchakras as you do.
Speak louder, so
What about manipulation of microchakras when you examine the back?
Oh, when I examine the back, I can tell you the degree of blockages. Then I can give you some sadhana, some principles, some mantras, some other techniques, so that you can then open your own microchakras. I do not open the microchakras. I can manipulate them so that they are more receptive to your own sadhana. I mean, occasionally it happens that when there is a dire need, somebody is really in agony, pain, whether physical or psychological, then out of my stock of my spiritual energy, I can use that to help people temporarily. But I like not doing it.
Should I use my intuition, Kelly Crandall? Should I use my intuition to determine if I should stay with the longevity mantra for another 40 days and start chanting it now instead of just listening, or move on to my next mantra that you prescribed, the sit around Kahiya?
Yeah. What I prescribed is what you should be doing. Once you have done the prescribed mantra and you are now ready for another one, and I am not available to you, you can then use your intuition and honor it.
Can't you talk about the difference between mantras and vidya, and the difference between upadesh or upadesh and Deeksha? It's calling.
You see, Upadesh is the Guru's words, the words of wisdom that you hear. And then there's Guru Kripa, grace of the Guru. Deeksha is given in order to belong to a particular sect. And traditional gurus, that's how they multiply, so to speak, their following by giving Deekshas. I personally do not do that. And my Guruji also did not do that because he was a mendicant. He didn't even have a home. He was a walking saint. The sky was his roof and earth was his bed. So sometimes temple to temple, sometimes wherever. He was just a free being. He never met anybody in my life who was freer than him. And he always had a smile on his face. Mm-hmm. And always helpful. No matter who would come and touch his feet, he would move back. He didn't even want people to touch his feet, which is a custom in India. It's a way that people show their reverence for the gurus. So there is a tradition, and then there is a science behind the tradition. I am all for the science. So Deeksha is a ceremony in which you are initiated to belong to a particular sect. That is that if you are looking for a sect. But the thing is that eventually we have to renounce the sect also. So why not just start to use the idea that you want liberation? It's like some people change their name. Well, you can change your name, but then you will have to work with that name that you have acquired. You have to renounce that one too.
Would you say that joining the sect takes your freedom away?
Well, in a way, you are totally dependent on the teachings of the sect, and it is in the hope that you will become liberated. But the thing is that liberation is an individual matter, not a sectarian matter. Sectarians, they become very religious-minded. And religions can bring you as high as the heart chakra. To do the individual work, you have to enter the fifth chakra. And the tool for that is the sound, is the mantra, the Nadi Yoga. That will free you, not bind you. Deeksha is bonding. We have time for one more question.
Yeah, I think it's the same question. What is the difference between consciousness and mass consciousness?
Mass consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
You see, there is individual consciousness, and then there is a mass consciousness, then there is a universal consciousness, and then there is a consciousness that is omnipresent. All of these consciousnesses are borrowing from that eternal consciousness. Because other consciousnesses are limited to your life. You are conscious as long as you are alive. Mass consciousness is the mass awareness. These days, masses of people are aware of some hidden enemy. That's mass. It should not even, the consciousness word should not even be used for that. It should be used, the word should be used, which is called awareness. Individual awareness, mass awareness, cosmic awareness. Consciousness is just one, and it should be used just for that purpose. Till next Saturday. Ram Ram and Namaste.